What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Paranormal Rush Hour. I'm your host, Ryan Rush, and tonight I'm going to talk to you guys about somebody. Okay, this is a topic that I don't know, man. Not a lot of people are really covering this right now. I don't think, and I can't really find a whole lot on him anymore. So it seems like I don't know. I don't know why. But it is interesting because the way I see this story, okay, and this is Stan Romaneck's story, okay? The story I'm talking about. I mean, I guess I'm telling some of his story, but anyway, Stan, okay, this has either been one of the most well documented and true cases of extraterrestrial contact, or it has been one of the absolute best, most elaborate, massive hoaxes that has ever been pulled off. Like, for real. Like, the most elaborate one ever in any aspect of the paranormal. Even, I would say, even if Patty were a hoax, which is not, man. Patty's a legit Sasquatch. I mean, I can tell you that. The thing is, even if Patty were a hoax, it would be the best one that exists as a Sasquatch. His story would just be the best one ever. That's what I'm saying. It would overshadow all the others because it is so extensive. And that's the thing, okay? Is it all true? Is some of it true? Is any of it true? We don't really know. Okay? Everything is still based on his story, what he claims. Pretty much. Even though there is all this other stuff that goes along with it that is obviously well thought out. You know what I mean? It's like, it has me on the fence sometimes, I'm not going to lie. You know? And I'm going to get into how I feel about all this, but anyhow, let's talk about, okay, I'm going to talk about what it is that Stan has claimed all this time, okay? Stan Romanek, who he is he's this guy white male, who was born in, I believe it was Denver, Colorado, in 1962. And he was somebody who, he claims that he came from a low income area where gangs were fighting and stuff like that, and so like he says he grew up kind of as a tough, having to be tough and rough and stuff. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it happened. Anyway, okay. He said that he first saw a UFO. It was documented by him in 2000, the year 2000. He was making a video for his then girlfriend that he met online and ended up marrying. He was trying to entice her to come out to Colorado, I guess. And he was making a video of how beautiful Colorado is, I suppose. It's what it seemed like. He said he was just taking video like the skyline, like the mountains and stuff. So he was doing all that and winds up seeing a UFO and recording it. Then, he shows the tape to Lisa and all this other stuff. I think that's her name, Lisa. I'm pretty sure, because that's what I'm going to be calling her through the whole thing. If it's not her name, then whatever. That's going to be her name now, right now. Anyway, so if you hear Lisa, I'm referring to his wife. Anyway, so she's, all about it. And she's like, well, that's a, cool UFO video and all this. And Stan says he's still kind of skeptical about the whole thing. Because he said that when he was growing up, UFOs just it wasn't even a thought on his mind. So, anyhow, that changed, I guess, after this sighting. And then it was pretty much his whole life. Because after this sighting, he said that he was kind of like a magnet for UFOs. He was like one of those people, that would get in the car and look up in the sky, and there's a UFO right there, following him. And he'd be walking out in the yard, going to get the paper, and look up, and there's a UFO. That's the kind of thing that was happening with him. And I can't say that it didn't, because there are plenty of people who, especially abductees for some reason, who have this sort of connection. And one of my friends, Jamie, was telling me that in Dr. Greer's new movie, he was saying, I was going to say like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And I had a brain fart at the same time, and it just wasn't a good moment. So excuse that. And he was saying in there, that there's this psychic connection, like kind of an ESP type thing that they have going on with these UFOs. And people, especially abductees, have claimed to be able to do that for a long time. It is really windy outside. I just had to stop and say that. You might can hear it picking up on the mic. I mean, crazy. Man. Anyway, hope it's wind and not a UFO. All right. Anyway, this was crazy, though. That threw me way off, hearing that. In Florida, we'd have hurricanes. And I've heard plenty of crazy wind before, and that's what that reminded me of just then. So, anyway, Stan, starts having all these experiences, and he says that one night he was living with his sister. When he was living with his sister, he said that he heard like a knock on the door late at night or something, and I guess they were living in an area where crime was not too uncommon, and he said that he thought it was somebody coming to rob them because it was like so late or something. And anyway, he was telling his sister not to open the door or something, and he said it was too late. She had already answered the door, and there were these 3 people standing there. And he said he noticed his sister like with her head leaned back and her eyes all wide and her mouth wide open, and he said that she was like in some kind of trance or something and not paying him any attention. And these people come in, I guess, and he says that he notices when they get closer that they're not people like humans. They have like these way bigger eyes, and there's pictures drawn of them. You can check them out, or I'll try to find pictures of all the stuff I'm talking about and add them on to the end of the video. I'm going to do my best to do that for you guys. The hard part is remembering to do it after I record these. So, anyway, if you remind me, though, I'll definitely remember to do that. All right. So he was having these crazy abductions that start happening after he's visited by these people, these aliens. He said it was like 1 female, I think, and 2 males that were with her on each side. And the female spoke to him, and I guess told him it was all good. They're not there to hurt him and all this other stuff. I don't know. Next thing he knows, he said he felt like a tap on his head or something, and he woke up on a table, and I guess he was in the UFO, and they were like all prodding him and stuff and whatever they do, probing him. I don't know. And then he said like he woke back up in his bed or something. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff he was claiming back then. Here's the thing. He was getting these marks on him too. And I mean, like, they were marks in weird looking, like extraterrestrial looking type of formations and stuff. You know what I mean? Like triangular looking things, and like things with like a dot in the center and one on each corner and side. They were weird looking patterns, though. It was like not really random injuries. You know what I'm saying? There was like some kind of form to them, and that was strange too. So either he was self-mutilating to fake these, or they were really happening, and he claimed that they would heal really fast. And I think he even took video of how long, but I mean, it's still all, if he's telling the truth. But at this point, that's what it is. And another weird thing is he started getting like more video evidence. And the video evidence he was getting was really interesting, okay, for a few reasons. And I want to talk about that because the first video really that put him somewhere, among the UFO people was this video of a light like beaming down. It was from a security camera that he had installed on the house, on the side of the house he was living in. And I believe his wife was living with him at this place. And anyway, it was a beam of light that comes down and it starts shining down on the grass, and you can see it clearly in the video. Now, it could have been done with like some kind of model and a flashlight or something. I'm not saying that couldn't have been created somehow, but it's weird, and I'll tell you why. Because the light goes up to about where the camera is, and you start seeing this floating debris coming up, and there's like a flash on the video, and it like took out the camera, like this beam. Okay, so the next day, Stan, I want to say that this was the incident where like he was taken and he woke up like maybe outside or something, somewhere like that. And I don't know, he was taken at this time, I believe, though. And I can't remember what the whole deal was, but he had video of burnt spots in his yard that were, I mean, he would have had to have gone out there to fake this and made like some kind of design with like lighter fluid and burnt it perfectly into the grass, burnt all the grass away, like charred it and stuff, to have faked this in the grass. And it was the same shape as the light that was in the video. Okay, and then the other weird thing about this is the actual side of the house. The siding was being replaced the next day, and Stan had assumed that it was the landlord who had hired a company to come and replace it or something, because he saw damage, I guess, because it like had cleaned off a whole area on the side of the house. And it was weird because it it also warped some of the siding too. So you've got this whole area of siding right where the security camera was. It was like right in the center, up like right around the eave of the house. And you've got this light coming down right where it is. And the whole thing it looks like it's pressure washed right there. I mean, it was all cleaned off. And Stan said that he got up the next day and there was a crew replacing the siding right where that was. Okay, he got these dudes on video. There's people doing this. The whole side of the house is ripped off. and the siding's replaced. So in order for him to have faked all this, he would have had to make some sort of model of, like, with a camera of a yard and whatever, and like put a flashlight, held a flashlight up, moved it around, and then thrown debris up like it was being sucked up or something, and then faked the camera being taken out by a flash of light. Okay? Then he would have had to go and do that to the yard with the grass. Then a crew would have had to been hired and willing to wear shirts with a fake company's name on them, because the company that came to replace the siding didn't exist. It was something like Bob's Siding from somewhere in Nebraska, and it didn't exist when he checked, so he claims. And the landlord did not order anyone to come and replace the siding. So, and they wouldn't let Stan, according to him, they wouldn't let him keep any of the siding because he tried to get some. Well, somehow or another, and he said that they always, like, never had their backs to him and stuff like that. Like, he was, like, they were always watching him or something. He said it was just a weird vibe he got from these guys. And they, I don't know, somehow when they were distracted with something, he snuck a piece of the siding out. So he's got this sample of it, and you can see it, like, where it's warped and burnt, and the way it's, like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I want to say I saw something a while back that was showing where it was analyzed, and they said that there was some kind of, like, cleansing that went on a molecular level in that siding, not just something you could spray off. I want to say they said that. Okay, so I don't know, don't quote me because I could be thinking of something else, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Anyway, so he's got that video right there, and he has these guys from this company on video getting the siding, changing the siding. Okay, so he would have had to have faked all that in order to just pull off this video. Now, that's a lot of trouble for somebody to go through. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but unless you're guaranteed something, why would you go through all that? And pretty much all he was guaranteed for releasing something like that was ridicule. I mean, that's what comes with this kind of stuff. You think I haven't been ridiculed? Man, come on. I have been through it with that stuff, with people making crap up about me, people picking my videos apart, people, I mean, they always do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. They always do it. You're scrutinized by somebody, and it's usually way more than one somebody. But that's just the way it is with this stuff, and you have to accept that. So I don't know why you would do that, what was the payoff for that specifically? I mean, I really, it's hard to even find that video with a, normal YouTube search, honestly. Most of his videos aren't that easy to find. Anyway, talking about other videos of his, though, there's the Boo video, all right, and this is a pretty famous one. This video shows an extraterrestrial popping up in the window frame, like in the window and looking around. Its eyes blink, its eyes squint and move, so it has these fine movements with its eyelids. And it moves around, and at the speed it moves. Okay? there are people who tried to recreate this video, and I have seen the recreation, and it's okay, but it is not anything like the one that he has. All right, and this video could be faked with like a puppet or something, but I don't know why you would really. It did become a pretty famous video though. So, I mean, who knows? But the thing is about it, he set up a camera, okay, for the purpose of catching someone that excuse me, he thought was peeking in the window, okay? So, he was like trying to find this guy, I guess, Peeping Tom or something, that I think his stepdaughter said that they saw him or something. So he sets up a camera to catch this fool and ends up catching an alien, a gray, popping up in the window and like looking around and then like popping back down and then popping back up again and looking around again and then moving back down real quick. The way it moves is interesting, okay? The way it moves up and down, it's interesting because it's not like a jerky movement. It's very calculated type movements. You know what I mean? It's different. There's something about it. That's what kind of stands out to me about it. The way it moves and the fine movements on its eyelids. You would have to have some sort of expertise to create something like that 15 years ago. It's not like CGI was that available back then. Anyway, I mean, it could have been done, but you would have had to know what you were doing for sure. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's what the video is, though, is this gray. And then Stan comes into the frame and sees it, and he jumps, like, and it really looks like he's legitimately startled by this. And then he said that thing ran off into the back, and then you see these flashes of light, like a strobing light, like a quick flickers of light. And he said that was pretty much it. So, man, wind is really kicking up. It's crazy. Anyway, alright, so that video would have been hard to make, though. I mean, these guys that remade it did an okay job, and they said they did it for like $90. I mean, it looks, okay, but the eyes blink really, really fast, way faster than it is on his. And I mean, his looks way more authentic. So if I were to like say they were both faked and who did the most realistic one, it would go to Stan for sure. But who knows? They could be real. And everybody just assumes they're not because it's easier to assume something isn't for most people. All right. Keeps them from confronting reality. The Grandpa Gray video. He has another one. All right. And this video shows more of a torso of a gray alien. And he's peeking around sideways around the house into the sliding glass door. And Stan is recording this. And he's kind of freaking out. And the same thing happens with the flickers of light when the alien moves back. And it moves really gradually. It's not like it's very startled by him. Okay? And he's like, oh, what's it doing? Like, just freaking out, kind of. It's a crazy video. I'm telling you, these videos are kind of jarring. I mean, you'll look at them and be like, wow, what if this is real? We're looking at an alien right now. How do you know it's not? But how do you know it is? That's the thing. We don't know for sure. We're going by what we see and what he says. All right, and there's no way for us to be 100%. about any of it. But this is a lot of trouble so far for some dude to go through. And this is over the span of years, too. We're talking about from like the year 2000 and up until I think the Boo video was released in like 09 or something. Something like that. Somewhere around there, 07, 09. So, I mean, that's a good span of years right there to be hoaxing stuff. So you're real dedicated at this point, and you are, I mean, the thing is, it just gets more elaborate, though, and more people get involved. And that's when, okay, if this is hoax, it's going to come out somewhere. Somebody's eventually going to come out and say this is all BS and whatnot. You know, that's most likely what's going to happen when you get other people involved eventually, if it is hoax. But up until, this point, I don't think there were that many players in the game with him. So he would have had to do most of this probably on his own. And this would not have been easy to pull off, really. I mean, you would be a very, very talented individual to make these videos and make them as believable as he did. And that's what I'm going to say about that. So if it was a hoax, it was well done. All right. Anyway, he also has these recordings of these phone calls, all right, that where these children are, and it's not just children, there's this other one that sounds like this British recording type of android type of voice, and they call him Starseed, and they're telling him all this stuff about, he's in danger where he recently moved to, and he said it's going to be easier for them to get to you now. In Colorado, somewhere in Colorado they moved. I think Colorado Springs or something, maybe. I don't know. Somewhere around there. Because they moved from, he said, Nebraska back to Colorado. So, anyway, he's like, just can't believe this wind. Sorry, I keep tripping on that, but yeah. Anyway, he's got these phone calls coming through. And after that warning, he said he got jumped going to work on his bicycle. Some dudes that looked like government black ops people, army or some military or something. He said they got out and jumped him. They cut him off, like, going into his parking lot at work. He was on his bicycle. And he said before that, they, like, rolled up and yelled out the window, told him he better shut up or keep his mouth shut or something. And he says that that's what they're telling him when they block him in the parking lot. And these guys get out trying to fight him. And he says he took his bike chain and started beating one of these dudes that was trying to do kung fu on him. And he said that he was beating this dude with his bike chain, and then he got tased. So they hit him like with a taser in the lower back or something and took off. And then the cops showed up. There's a police report about this and everything. And he's got video of injuries, clear injuries on his face. Like his nose, he said, was broken and some other stuff. Excuse me. I've got a little cold, I think, coming on. But anyway, I've already had the virus, though, so I should be clear on that. But there's other stuff around, too. Don't forget that. Anyway, he said all this about the dudes coming up and jumping him, and there's a police report about it. So he went through the trouble of getting a police report done. And I think, somebody would have had to beat the crap out of him to get the injuries on his face, or he had some really gifted makeup artist do all that to his face. I mean, that's the options there. So that's another thing. Another thing that would have elaborately, been hoaxed if it were a hoax. The phone calls also had these children that would come through. And I guess these were his alien hybrid children or something talking to him. And one of them's name was like Kiora, and she said it meant Trinity. And the other one, her sister Tilly or something like that, Trilly. And that meant to shine or something. And they said they were saying something like there's 9 of them, 7 of us are the same, 2 are different or something. And these kids are like they come through ever so often and talk to him on the phone and stuff. So he would have had to have had all this made up and hoaxed too if it weren't real. All right. See, that's what I'm trying to like look at this as. All right, if all of this stuff was hoaxed, he would have had to go through an immense amount of difficulties and troubles to create it, because it wouldn't have been that easy to recreate all this. So anyway, there's pictures too, also still photos that he has where aliens are in them, okay? And they could have been the easiest thing to hoax, honestly. You could Photoshop these things in back then. There's no doubt about it. So, I mean, that's the thing, but he didn't release a whole ton of that kind of stuff. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of that. There's, like, probably 3 or 4 well-known still shots that he released with Grays peeking around in them. So, I mean, that would have been the easiest thing for him to get away with hoaxing right there. But, again, I don't know. They could be real. Who knows? So, he also has, like, video of a sound, like this weird frequency coming through his stereo speakers while the stereo's off. And I want to say it's like unplugged or something too. And he's like, I don't know. Or maybe the power's just off. But he also said that would happen, constantly almost. And then there's this one part of these conversations where he passes out because of this frequency coming through on the phone line. That's all recorded too, and they call whoever he's on a conference call with. Those 2 people called back on his number, and I guess his wife ends up answering the phone and told them that he passed out. So he would have had to have her in on it, and if you watch the documentary about him, it will show her, and she is either a really good actress or she genuinely claims that she would not go along with something like this if it were not the truth. So again, I mean, I don't know her. I can't tell you if she's lying or not or whatever. But, there's really no way to know. This is one of those things, you just kind of have to make up your own mind on. And there's a lot of controversy that's going to always surround something, like this, with this subject matter. There's going to be controversy always if you're dealing with this stuff. You always have to keep that in mind with any of it. So anyway, he was also writing out these intricate equations, okay? And this guy is dyslexic too. But just keep that in mind. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying he is dyslexic, so that might hinder him from being able to write out processes such as the ones he wrote out, a lot of the time under hypnosis, is when he would recall these or come up with these. And he has a lot of documented footage of him going through hypnosis regression and stuff like that. I mean, he would have had to fake that stuff under hypnosis. And I don't know, man. That's another thing. I mean, he would have had to have these hypnotists in on it too. You know, that's the thing. He would have had so many people that would need to be involved with this. I don't know. There's just no telling, though. And I know I keep saying that, but it's really perplexing when you look at this kind of thing. And there's so much evidence that they give you. There's so much stuff, involved. Like, these equations are insane looking. And he's had people with PhDs look at them, like physicists and mathematicians and things like that. People like that, look at them and say that they are actually very similar to this type of equation which exists and explains like the population of, or would calculate the population of other civilizations in our galaxy or something, and it'd be like the same equation. And he would come up with this, and it would be solved and have like the probability or something. And I don't know, man. It was just, there was a lot of like merit to these equations that he was showing. So he would have had to have some kind of knowledge about advanced mathematics to come up with these. Or somebody would have. And he would have had to memorize them. I don't know. And he also would come like writing symbols and stuff. And they would be like Aramaic symbols or something. And I mean, it was really weird. And he was doing a lot of this supposedly under hypnosis. Well, I mean, I don't know if he was or not, because I wasn't there. I'm not a hypnotist. And I don't know if those people really were hypnotists. I mean, it could have all been the big hoax, but I don't see why, It would have been a lot easier not to hoax it and just go along with it if it were really happening. But who knows, man? Who knows? Just keep in mind, this could all be real. Okay. Now, there's also pictures of Kiora, the girl, the one, I guess, that comes through and talks to him the most. And something interesting about this is, okay, there's a picture that he got at an event where right before that, he was on a phone call and she came through and told him that she was going to come visit him at the event that he was speaking at that weekend or whenever. And there was a picture that they say is from that event of a little girl, and she's got these crazy looking facial features, like her eyes. I mean, she's like just kind of alien looking. Now, I don't know if that's real or not, but it's certainly weird, and somebody would have had to go through a lot of trouble to get that done. All right, well, there's this girl that comes out in one of his hypnosis sessions, and it's one where he recalls these kids that they bring him when he's up in the UFO, I guess. And these kids are like his alien hybrid kids, I guess, with this chick named Victoria Albright. All right, Victoria came to one of his speaking events or something, and he said like he immediately knew that it was this girl, this woman that was always there when he would recall this stuff under hypnosis. And she, I guess, knew it too or something. Somehow she was like going and trying to find her own answers, I guess, about what was going on with her. And they ended up finding each other. And she, I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about her. There's not a lot of information around. But she was supposedly somebody that had something to do with this little girl, too, or these kids. Well, there was this party that was thrown for one of his, I guess, book releases or something. And at this party, he said that I guess he got this feeling that one of those kids was around or something. And he said that he went and got it. He had a camera, his digital camera or something, and went outside. And there was this girl, like, I think he said it was raining or something. And there was this little girl that, a younger little girl that was peeking around a tree, and he got this picture of her. And I think it was that same little girl from like the picture he had, or they had at the event. And she was like, I think seen actually by Victoria, and I want to say somebody else, like physically seen. Then he had this picture of her. And he went around and showed it to like everybody at the party saw it on his camera. Everybody that was there. And I think they all attest to seeing that picture of that little girl. So it did exist or something. So they try to go and put it on his computer. And as they were walking, he says down to put it on his computer. It deletes itself. And then the phone rings, like right after, they said. And it was that little girl and she came through and said something like she was sorry and she still loved him and all this other stuff. And like, I don't know, everybody that was there claims that it was just the weirdest stuff to witness. I don't know. I mean, this is coming from other people. So, in order to have faked all that, he would have had to have all them in on it. And I don't know what payoff they would have gotten from it. Other than just they liked him so much that they wanted to help him keep this whole thing going. I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you bring in other people, like all these people like this Victoria and these ufologists who he knows, and like the ones that were talking about this picture and seeing it and all this other stuff. I mean, he would have had to have all these people in on it. And, I mean, it just would have had to be one of the biggest, most elaborate hoaxes of our whole lifetime, it's insane. It's just weird. Well, why would this, if this were real, okay, you would think that the government, because it's well known that they will try to silence people. If this was all happening and it were real, you would think they would try to do something, They would try to silence him. Well, eventually, things started like working against Stan. And he went on coast to coast with George Norrie. And George Norrie challenged Stan to take a lie detector test. Okay, so he took it. And, polygraphs are notorious for not being accurate anyway. But I'm just throwing that out there because we all know they're not even like admissible in court or something like that. But he agreed to take one, and he said that, or they said that he failed to tell the truth when asked about the authenticity of the Boo video. So, according to that polygraph, that indicated that he was lying about that video. So, I don't know. Was he? Was it a real video? Or did Stan really make that? Did he really have the know-how and the drive to create that type of puppet and get someone to operate it while he himself was visible in the frame also? Alright, I don't know. So, anyway, he later, said stuff like George Norrie was made to, set him up to fail that or something like that, and he was in on it with the deep state, I guess, trying to shut him up. I don't know. But he did claim that George Norrie was in on it. I really don't know about all that. I don't know. Coast to coast is huge. There's no question there. So, I don't know. But another thing that happened that really didn't work in his favor, and he did this to himself, basically, was that there was a pin flicked by his hand. Like you could see it on the bottom of the screen, like real, just trying to be real discreet about it and trying to make something happen. Like something fly up behind him, and if something flew up behind him and hit the shelf behind him or whatever while he was doing a video podcast with some dude. And, he was on video live. And then you could see his hand, move, ever so slightly. And something flew up behind him. So, there was really no question about that. He couldn't deny that. And he went on saying that he was made to do it because to discredit himself or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, who knows? Maybe he was. I don't know. He did it though. There's no denying that. He did it. It's there. And then, oh man, then comes the one thing that would discredit anybody, okay? Anybody. I don't care who you are. This would discredit you. This would automatically cause you to be hated by certain people. A lot of people. Child porn charges. That's what ended up really getting him. Okay, did he do it? I don't know. I cannot say. I don't know him. I don't know what happened. I don't know his thing or whatever. I would hope not, but I don't know, man. I really don't. I do find it very strange, okay, that he was convicted. Not convicted, but he was arrested charged, with possession and distribution. Okay, he was only found guilty of possession, which is automatically a much lesser charge than having the distribution on there too. And then he gets a very strangely lenient punishment for it. Okay, you would think that you'd wind up doing some time over it. But he didn't. He didn't go to jail. He went to a halfway house and had to do that for 2 years. And had to register as a sex offender for 10 years and do probation or something for 10 years. So, he was found guilty of one of those charges. I guess there was no way for him to deny that it was on his computer. So, I mean, I guess you would. But the thing is, that's something anybody could worry about if you own a computer. I mean, people can hack stuff, they can do stuff that normal people can't do. You think about these hackers that get through these crazy security firewalls and stuff that are, on government sites and stuff like that. Well, your average Joe don't have that on his computer. So it'd just be like, a walk in the park for them to tap right on in to whatever you got. So, I mean, it could easily happen to frame somebody. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying hypothetically, it could happen to about anybody that you wanted to discredit. Now, I did think it was strange, though, the sentencing. And I don't know. I mean, that's just what happened. Okay, so you guys can make up your own mind about him, but this stuff is crazy. The stuff that he went through, supposedly, would just be, if it's true, it would be the most insane collection of, or documentation, I should say, of extraterrestrial contact. And there's things that are really legitimate about it. Like, there's footage of his knee brace, okay? He injured his knee and was going to have surgery on it to repair it. Like, he tore his ACL. And it's documented, like there's medical documentation of him going to the doctor and booking an appointment for a surgery. And then he said that they took him one night and he woke up somewhere like in his yard or something, and something was like busted up. I can't remember. There were bricks and stuff around I remember that, but seeing that in the pictures. But his knee brace that he was having to wear was like charred and like melted. And he was walking perfectly on his knee. And he was supposed to have surgery like the following week. But he had these 5 like holes, it looked like, in a line, like down the back of his leg. And it was just weird, So he called and canceled the appointment for the surgery. And they were like, no, you really need to come and have this. I know you're scared and don't want to have it, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, it's really not that. He's like, I just don't need it anymore. So he went in for a consultation to prove, he said that, to show them that, he didn't need it anymore. And the doctor couldn't figure it out, He really couldn't figure it out. And this is all documented, and he has it recorded, the conversation. And it's documented on his medical records. So he would have had to fake all of that. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe it. Part of me doesn't. Part of me wants to believe some of it. And part of me wants to say there's some of it definitely that's fishy. And there is some shady stuff about all of it. But how easy would it be to do what he did? Think about that. And that's what I've been trying to convey through the whole episode here, is that I want to think about it like, okay, if this were a hoax, how hard it would be to do all of this. So, man, this wind is really crazy. It's not stopping. I don't know what's up with it. But I guess that's about it, guys. I think I've talked about this dude enough. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say about it, okay? I mean, keep in mind, this stuff happens to people. But there's also sick people out there. And you would have to be a crazy mofo to pull this off for 20 years, So I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate you watching. And please like and share and subscribe and do everything that you can after watching this video. And I guess that's about it. I'll be back with you guys really soon. So until then, take care and take it easy. And I'll see you guys